So we're going to talk about why it can feel so hard to speak up in certain situations. Maybe specifically in groups, whether it comes from simply not knowing the right thing to say or from just the fear of doing it. So I've grown up as a very introverted guy. I am kind of a shy guy. I'm naturally more quiet, and always had to deal with people telling me, "Why are you so quiet? Why don't you speak up more?" Which is kind of painful because it's like my natural inclination is to be quiet, and to be honest, for a long time I was very okay with that until certain other people started planting ideas in my head that it's not normal, that it's something that I should try to correct. And I'm not even sure if that is the case, but it's left me with this anxiety, specifically in group situations where if I go too long without saying something, I'm worried what people are thinking. They'll automatically judge me to be this like awkward or antisocial person, maybe a little bit unfriendly. And that always creates this like mounting sense of pressure. Like the longer this goes on for, the longer I'm aware of the fact I haven't said anything, I start to just get like more anxious and just more worried about like ending that. Like I need to say something right now, and but then it often feels like I'm going to say the wrong thing, so I talk myself out of saying it. Or when I do say something, it feels kind of forced, and everyone looks at me like I'm a little bit weird. It's this whole kind of negative feedback loop that I know is so common for people. It feels impossible for me to act natural. And there's also another big fear that I have, which I never see anyone talking about. I don't know if you relate to this, but I have this fear of like just people, in certain situations where you're talking, like maybe you're having a private conversation even, and you suddenly become aware that there could be a bunch of people in the background listening to you, and you suddenly get that like spike of anxiety, like who's listening right now? I don't want anyone to hear me talking. Like I had this at work the other day. Like I was standing up on one side of the office talking to someone like a couple of meters away, and suddenly the room went really quiet, and I was like suddenly like really aware everyone can probably hear me, and without even really like consciously trying, my voice just suddenly like started to go like a little bit quieter and more timid. So that's another thing that I'm just quite paranoid about. And in general, I'm someone who's maybe like afraid to be a bit loud. I kind of talk with like restraint, at least in certain situations. So we're going to talk about why this fear occurs, like the fear of speaking up in public or group settings, and how I've started to build on this. And I've kind of got a bit of an alternative solution, which some people might like. But yeah, the reason we really struggle in these situations is because I'll tell you what, it is impossible to speak up in these situations because our body, and hear me out, our bodies literally believe that we are about to die. I'm not being dramatic. Our bodies literally perceive some kind of threat in our environment. Like we do not feel safe speaking up in this environment because we on some level believe this is going to cause me great pain or even death. Like it's crazy. So our bodies have something called the nervous system, which you might know that the nervous system kind of, it exists to protect you from danger in your environment. So long ago, like when we were in caveman times and we were not the apex predators, we were at risk of getting hunted by wild animals, saber-toothed tigers. So this nervous system was developed. We evolved the nervous system as a way of like detecting threats in our environment, like always being on the lookout for something trying to hunt us or eat us. So your nervous system, when it's under threat, it tells you whether you're going to fight or going to flight. You probably already know this. But it's there for a reason. It's there to protect us from threats in our environment, threats of us dying. But that's not necessarily the case anymore, because in modern times, we're not getting hunted. There's some things which can be fatal, but there's a much lower risk of that. But nowadays, the main threats that we perceive in our environment are emotional threats. Not things that are necessarily going to cause us harm, but people who are going to make us feel really bad. Feel some deeply negative emotion, something really painful. Imagine the most well, I'm not trying to traumatize you here, but imagine the most painful thing that you've gone through as a person. That feeling was probably worse sometimes than when you got physically hurt, maybe you fell and cut your leg or something. The deepest emotional pain you can feel, a heartbreak, is much worse than that. So in a way, our body still perceives that kind of experience, that painful emotional experience, as it still could be fatal. It could still cause us to die. Our nervous system doesn't see it the same way. So the reason you really struggle to speak up is when you're in survival mode, when your body, when there's something in your environment which means which your body is detecting as a threat. Your body, and we'll get to what that is, but your body is literally unable to do anything else but focus on survival. Survival itself, literally staying alive. So we've got to think of our nervous system as our second brain. Your brain stores memories, normal memories and stuff, and your nervous system also stores memories. But it's not like normal memories, it's these emotional memories. It's times where you felt that kind of great pain that I'm talking about, some kind of negative emotion. And when something in the present triggers that same feeling, your nervous system gets reminded of these emotional memories, and it starts to put you in this survival mode because you're reminded of when you were in pain before. It brings up the exact same feelings in your body back then, well, now, as back then. And it tells you, I need to be on my guard right now, because if I don't, then something's going to cause me this emotional pain. So let's get specific now. So for me, I have work meetings and stuff right now. And I've kind of gotten used to being the guy who sometimes we're having this meeting and it's a bunch of people there, and I can be a bit of a spectator. I can be a bit passive. Sometimes I've just gone the whole hour without saying anything. And that makes me paranoid because of things that have happened to me in the past. And I start thinking I need to speak up more. I start feeling this pressure. And this specific situation, it triggers these feelings that I felt in the past, these negative feelings that cause my anxiety to creep up, that my body perceives as a threat. I'm reminded of this pain that I went through in the past, which was actually something similar. So sometimes it's hard to pinpoint exactly where these feelings are coming from, but it's for me, what I'm reminded of is school. And I'm sure this will be the case for a lot of people. It's school. My teacher could pick on me to answer a question in class, and I get the answer wrong. Instead of it just being okay, that's fine, I made a mistake. Bro, the whole class would just erupt with laughter. Everyone would fucking laugh at me. People would make fun of me. That can literally happen in any kind of situation at school. You could say anything and a bunch of people would find it funny and start bullying you for it. At least where I went to school. But because of shit like that, the humiliation that I felt, my nervous system held on to that, and now it's on high alert any time I'm in situations now where there's a chance if I make a mistake, everyone could laugh. I'm reacting to this old fear that I have. And even though I'm not necessarily in danger here, and most of the people I work with are fine. They're not going to react like that. It's my body reacts in the same way, as if it's under threat, as if I'm in danger. And this is the case for 99% of people, this like anxiety we feel about speaking up. And also where it feels like our brain literally freezes and doesn't work anymore. That comes because we're in threat mode. Because we're reminded of something that happened to us in the past. Even if it's something that we don't like really remember, our nervous system remembers how we felt in that moment, like the pain of it. Hope this is making sense. So the other aspect of this, which is quite interesting, is it's like I talked about how your brain freezes, and this is why we find it harder to like know what to say. We're already feeling the pressure that we haven't said anything, but then it feels like we're going to force something. The reason that gets harder is because when you're in that survival mode, it's like I said, your brain can't think of anything else but surviving. So it redirects like energy away from the thinking brain, like the things responsible for creativity and, you know, like being witty and knowing what to say next. That part of your brain gets shut off. So then you're kind of left like, what do I say now? Like you're kind of all panicky, you're not thinking clearly. That's not you being awkward, or I used to think this was just me being like a socially awkward person. That's not you being awkward, that's just you being in survival mode. Because when you're with your friends, when you're around people that you really trust, you don't have that. Your brain doesn't shut down like that. You always know what to say around your friends and family because you're comfortable. But when you're uncomfortable and your body believes it's under threat, you can't think of what to say. And that was a real revelation for me. Like this feels like it's one of the most life-changing things I've learned. Like I'm not awkward. I just don't feel safe in this environment. And that's where the solution kind of lies. Like I'm not saying I've solved this problem, but I'm getting a bit more comfortable with things like doing presenting. It's kind of something I have to do in my job anyway, but dealing with those like paranoid thoughts that something bad is going to happen to me if I speak up right now, or I'm going to say the wrong thing, I'm going to fuck up. Where we can kind of build on this and feel a lot more comfortable with it, it's speaking up in environments where we feel safe, or like setting ourselves challenges that don't, it's like exposure therapy. Like if I right now, I decided I'm going to go and do a speech in front of like 10,000 people, I can genuinely get traumatized by that. Because I'm a good speaker, but even now I would admit that's nowhere near my level. If I do something which is going to traumatize me, that'll make this whole thing even harder. But the thing that I've gotten a lot better at is, told you I can sometimes go like an hour at a work meeting without saying anything. And I feel the pressure, like, oh, I'm fucking annoyed at myself for not talking more. I set myself the challenge, and I've been doing this for a few months now with however long the meeting is, like 10 minutes, half an hour. I'm going to speak up once. I'm going to share my thoughts. Like, no matter what we're even really talking about, it doesn't have to be the most intelligent thing or reasonably well thought out. I'm just going to take the opportunity to get my thoughts out there about something, about the thing we're discussing. I'm going to pitch in. I'm not going to say like, oh, I need to be like really involved. Like sometimes there's not an opportunity for that. Like I'm not that confident about this whole area, or I'm not the main focus of the meeting. But if I can just share my thoughts once, then even if it's not the most intelligent thing, even if it's not like really well thought out, I'm still adding value. I'm still showing that I'm like an individual. I am a bit afraid, but I'm showing these people that I'm afraid. Even when I'm afraid, I'm not afraid to get my thoughts out there. And I'm here, I'm contributing. Because what I've kind of realized is, you know, all this can be quite difficult because of the things we went through in the past. Like it makes sense that I would be afraid to speak up when I've been in those environments where like I've had nothing but negative feedback and people just fucking being cruel to me when I get my thoughts out there. But I'm not in any danger now. I especially know that as I've gotten older, especially in places like work, I'm not going to get fucking bullied for getting something wrong. Most times the people, because I'm older and I'm not forced to go to school, I get to choose who I spend time with. So anyone who makes me feel bad, I'm not going to spend time with them. So most of the people I'm around, they're not going to make fun of me if I get something wrong. So I feel safer expressing myself in this environment, but also just those little challenges we can set ourselves, which kind of push us out our comfort zone in the littlest way, but don't traumatize us. They're a great starting point. And honestly, I suppose I'll just end the video by saying there shouldn't be anyone out there making you feel like you're not able to like just share your thoughts as a person. Like your perspective is on anything is valuable. Like you're a human, you're an individual. There shouldn't be anyone making you feel like you can't like share what you think. Like that's to me that's just like a human right. Like we're not going to get everything wrong, but the least we can do is just show who we are, like show your perspective on things. That's the way I look at it anyway. And I'm still on my journey with this, but now it feels like the more I've done this, the more conviction I've had behind what I've said. And, I'll say things and I'm not like looking around to see who heard me. It is getting easier, and I'm going to keep updating you on this journey for me. Have a good one.